buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por estar aquí. Thank you, everyone. We are about to get started. I'm glad that everyone is enjoying their food. Before we get started, we're going to talk a little bit about the interpretation. I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Estefania, to walk us through those instructions.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to start in Spanish and then I'll transition on to English. Hola, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a su junta. El día de hoy vamos a tener interpretación simultánea. Así que el día de hoy vamos a pedirles que por favor pónganse su dispositivo en el oído. Si en algún momento no puede escuchar, nos deja saber. Vamos a estar teniendo actividades en 2 mesas separadas. Así que dependiendo a dónde se vayan, van a tener que estar en un número. Por favor, de ver a nuestras intérpretes para poder ayudarles. So now I'll transition on to English. So for all of you English speakers, please put on your earpiece now because we're going to test interpretation. As I was mentioning to the Spanish speakers, we will be having simultaneous interpretation during today's session. Although you might not need interpretation because you might be bilingual or for whatever other reason, we are asking you all to please use the interpretation function as a sound system. So in your breakout sessions, although you are bilingual, you will be having an earpiece and a mic to speak into. That way we're not having to shout and us interpreters can't hear the other people speaking. So again, if you could put on your earpiece, you should be able to hear our Spanish and English interpreters. So we'll start off with English first. Can you please put on your earpiece? Ahora voy a hablar en español. Si es que hablan los que escuchan inglés, van a escuchar en inglés. Probando sonido. Todos los que hablan inglés y entienden inglés, ¿me pueden escuchar bien? Sí, perfecto, perfecto. Y ahora transicionando al otro idioma. So now speaking into English, all of our Spanish speakers, can you hear us? Can everybody speaking Spanish and understanding Spanish? Perfect. So that's how it's going to run during today's meeting. Feel free to let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Estefania. And thank you so much to the entire Linguistica team who does a fabulous job translating for us for every meeting. So with that, I'd love to welcome you all to your 55th meeting. Can you believe it? Yay, a round of applause for all of you guys and your commitment. Your dedication and commitment to change in your community is impressive, and we're here tonight to have a great discussion where you'll be able to share your input and have some time allocated for 2 different roundtable discussions. So during this time, we're going to give you an overview of what we're going to do today. We're going to give you some instructions. So as you are finishing up your food, please know that you will be rotating to different tables to ensure that you have time to communicate with each other and to learn about the 2 different topics that we're going to talk about. Before we get started, I'm going to pass it to my colleague at the Air District to give a welcoming remark, and then we'll have some time to hear from your 2 co-leads. Stephanie?
Thank you, Amy. Good evening, everyone, and happy 55th meeting. I'll speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure my whole team, that this is our very favorite meeting of the year to see you all in person in December. It's so great to see you all face-to-face, to share dinner, and I'm super looking forward to tonight. Before we get started too much, I just wanted to thank you all, one, for being here, but I wanted to thank our whole team that kind of puts together this meeting, Herder & Company, our AV team, our also Linguistica, and our co-leads as well. I just wanted to thank Bianca and Cesar for helping us, as always, plan such an excellent meeting and providing so much support. Before we get too much into the exercises, a really great piece of feedback that the co-leads gave is to just talk a little bit about what we'll be doing tonight before we get too far into it. You'll see 2 different stations here. One of them is urban greening, and the other one is vegetative barriers. I know that those are very similar things because they both deal with trees, which are very, I know, highly prioritized topics for this community. They are slightly different, and I just wanted to take a second to talk about that. Vegetative barriers, we've been working on for a little while, right? We've had lots of discussions in our CSC meetings about this topic. This is planting vegetation kind of strategically to block pollution from sources of concern. And tonight we have some updates about this process, and then just looking for kind of direction from you all of next steps. And one that we want to talk about on this side, urban greening. I know we've talked about it a little, but this will kind of be our first time as a committee really digging into this topic. This is more, you'll hear us talk about kind of urban greening style trees. These are the trees that you think about more planted at like parks and schools. They provide a lot of community benefits. They're so beautiful to see trees in the community. but they're kind of less of the vegetative barriers, kind of strategic planting. So those are two different things that we'll talk about tonight. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew we're gonna talk a lot about trees, but a little differently at both of the stations. Anyway, I'm so looking forward to discussion tonight. Again, I wanna thank you all for being here, and I'll pass back to Amy to talk about the exercises.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephanie. And before we go into the exercises, I want to pass it to Cesar to provide some welcoming remarks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here, and thank you so much for being with us for our, was it 55th meeting? I think the alternative for us is waiting an hour so that we can speak for 2 minutes, and maybe we will get listened to, maybe we won't. And I think here we have a very meaningful, powerful position to speak and to be heard and to get feedback all in one place. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you everyone for using your power here. And in case I don't get to see you, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Cesar. I'm going to pass it to Bianca as our co-lead to also add some welcoming remarks. Bianca?
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome everybody here, especially in this whole process. As my co-lead mentioned, this is our 55th meeting. It's a lot, but at the same time, a lot of you guys have made a big difference in the Arvin and Lamont community, and especially through all the SERP and the monitoring. And I'm excited to hear from urban greening and vegetative barriers. This is a topic that a lot of the residents have brought up, and we're excited that we're bringing it to the table and for us to discuss it. And bringing also key players like Bear Mountain Recreational Parks. I just saw her right now, so I want to thank her for being here. A lot of folks that would want to take advantage of these programs are here, and it's going to be a fruitful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. And thanks again for all of you for being here tonight, and thank you for the county folks and other folks from different agencies that are here as well. So now we are ready to get into the work. So we want to hear directly from you. We're going to put you to work. You will see that inside your folder, all of you have an agenda for tonight. In addition to that agenda, as you'll see right now, we're doing the welcoming remarks and introductions. We're going to then rotate into 2 table discussions. For each of those discussions, you see that you will have an information handout, one that is about vegetative barriers and one that's about urban greening. You should also have received a pen when you came in at the beginning, and if not, don't worry. Once you get to the table, you will have some pen and markers to use. We want you guys to ask questions. We want you to be engaged, to make sure that you're clear on each of these different initiatives that are being discussed. And if you have any questions that you want us to take a note of that are not part of urban greening or are not part of vegetative barriers, please do write them down or let one of the facilitators at your table know. Tonight we're practicing a new model, one that's called a bike rack. So Liz, if you can raise your hand back there, we are going to be noting all the topics that you all want to discuss, maybe at a future meeting that is not covered in tonight's meeting. We'll leave that there, and at the next agenda setting meeting, those of you who are on the committee can discuss those topics, and we can prioritize what needs to be discussed at the next topic. So that is an addition for tonight. Once you get to that table, you'll have these little Post-its, and you'll have some more pens and markers for you to use and engage in the conversation. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and ask you all to move. So if you can wrap up your food, put your items back in your folder. We're going to have these first 2 tables here that I'm looking at. So here, Tim's table, and here we're going to have Julieta's table. We're going to all go and start at urban greening. The rest of you, the 3 tables here, you guys are going to start at vegetative barriers. When you start there, you're going to have a facilitator and you're going to have an interpreter that's going to travel with you. You're going to be there for 20 minutes. You're going to ask all the questions that you have, make sure you get clarification, and then we're going to ask you to rotate to the next table. And then when we're both done going to both of those groups, we'll come back and have a bigger discussion about what you learned at each of those tables. So if you guys can go ahead and move. So these two are going to go to urban greening, and you three are going to start at vegetative barriers. You can leave your stuff where it's at or take it and go ahead and move, and then we'll start the 20-minute timer. No one's talking yet. No one's talking yet. Yeah. Okay, so as soon as you take a seat at that table, the interpretation team is going to help you get set up for that discussion at your table. You're going to be on a different channel, and you'll be there for 20 minutes, and then I'll ask you to rotate. So I'm going to stop talking now. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your great discussion at each table. I see everyone is getting ready to wrap up their conversation. We are now going to ask everyone to rotate to the opposite table of where you were and take a seat and allow the translation team to help you set up the new channel. And to help you get there, you see me in this umbrella because we are raffling it to get you to move a little bit quicker. And so our lucky winner for this umbrella will be announced momentarily as you navigate to your area. If I can get Rocio to come up here. Rocio. So if you could please move to the next table, we will get started in 2 minutes. We will be raffling this umbrella so that you can use it as the rain begins to fall. Okay, so as part of our raffling, for our first raffle tonight, we have 3 raffles. Wait for it. Drum roll. Okay, our winner of this umbrella, who's going to stay dry all winter during the rain, is... Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Here it goes, here it goes. María Dolores Martínez. A ver, María Dolores, ¿dónde está ahora? ¡Woo! Ok, María Dolores, aquí tiene. Gracias a usted por estar aquí. All right, so if everyone can take a seat, you will now be instructed by our translation team to be on the correct channel for your new table. And I will interrupt you in 30 minutes. Good luck. right now? Because they're wrapping up for you guys for 2 minutes. Attention, attention. We are all coming back to the center tables that have the blue tablecloths. At this time, we're going to switch back to our original channel. Linguistica is going to provide some instructions. We do have another raffle. In this case, we have a cordless grass shear and shrubbery trimmer. Before I do that, I'm going to pass it to Estefania.
Hola a todos. Si ya terminaron sus conversaciones para escuchar en el español, van a estar en el canal 2. Y si es que van a estar escuchando en inglés, va a ser canal 1. Hi everybody, if you're done with your discussions, you are now going to be on channel 1 to listen into English. And for any Spanish speakers, it's going to be channel 2. So if you are part of the Air District team and you know how to switch channels and you are around people who might need help, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Estefania. And to help us get motivated to take a seat and move on to the next agenda item, we have our next raffle from the Air District. This is a cordless grass shear. I'm going to ask Nancy to use the wheel to randomly select someone. So here we go. Ready? Let's see who is going to be working tonight on trimming their shrubs. Gustavo Aguirre. A trabajar, Gustavo. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Okay, Gustavo, no excuse. Get to work, buddy. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, thanks, everyone. So thank you so much for being willing to share your perspectives, share your opinions and your recommendations on what is needed in terms of urban greening and vegetative barriers. Before we provide you with a summary, I want to make sure that everyone's taken a seat. We do have a few more agency updates and a few more things to discuss to ensure that we all understand where we're at in today's discussion and what the next steps are. You may have noticed that we have Toys for Tots here today. So at the end of the meeting, you will be able to talk to the Toys for Tots folks and get some of those gifts to take home with you tonight once we have finished today's discussion. But before we get there, I want to provide you with a summary of the discussion that was had at each of the tables. I know everyone went to a table, but there was different discussions given who was there. So we're going to have our co-leads provide a summary of the discussion. So I'm going to start with Bianca. I'm looking for Bianca. I'm not sure where she is. Oh, here she is. So Bianca's going to share a little bit about what she heard was discussed by you as she was navigating to both of the tables.
So in our group, in our group, we were able to give suggestions on where we wanted the urban greening. So that did help the Air District, and also we had the advantage that we had the grant writer for Arvin to give good suggestions and open suggestions for us to think about. And I did see that for the vegetative barriers, a lot were leaning for opening the RFP for somebody else, and that was an open discussion also. We do see the need for other communities like the Lamont, Wheat Patch, and Fuller Acres, and we want to incorporate other communities to take advantage, not just one community itself. So.
Thank you for that summary. I'm going to pass it to Cesar. So some of you got to navigate to the table discussions with Cesar. So Cesar's going to provide us a summary of what he heard.
Yeah, thank you. Very similar to what Bianca shared here at the vegetative barriers. We were able to discuss the proposed HIFI plan and any reservations that we had. We had some folks that were knowledgeable about the process that happened in Shafter and an example of what we could get with less money. And I think folks, the voting shows itself that people were able to exercise their voting power, and I think they show that they're willing to reopen it. And so now we all have a little bit more homework, mostly the Air District, to reach out to a lot of folks in the area like growers, the city, property owners in areas where y'all identified where you wanted more, not just vegetative barriers, but also green spaces, as was demonstrated over here. So thank y'all very much. And I think we kind of forget what we're doing sometimes, but we just decided what to do with $500,000. How amazing is that? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Cesar and Bianca. It's so important to be reminded of the purpose of what we're here, and also to be reminded that you all created the rules for engagement. So per your charter, you all have a say and an input on the directions and next steps of how these funds are implemented. So it's very clear for urban greening, you all have some recommendations. If you didn't have a chance to provide your recommendations, as the Air District said, you can access the website and continue to provide location recommendations. If you want to go to that table before you leave, you're also welcome to do that today or reach out to the Air District. For vegetative barriers, as you can see where Stephanie is standing, there's unanimous decision to continue to look for new RFPs and rewrite that. Tonight, we're implementing the bike rack. So if you have other topics that we did not get to today and you want to make sure that they're discussed, please do share those with us. So before we wrap up, we have some agency updates. So we're going to start with the City of Arvin. It's going to give us some updates. You can sit, you can stand, whatever you're comfortable with.
Hi, everybody. This is Christine here. How you doing? Well, I am super excited to let you know that in approximately 2 weeks, South A Street will be completed. So we've made progress on that. And additionally, we did have some hangups with coordinating with utilities because Arvin CSD is responsible for the water, so they needed to come in and take a look at the projects first and see what they might need to repair before we could go through with that project. And that is also going to be happening on Comanche and Derby. So that is what the delay has been, if you're curious. With that said, the plans have been completed for Comanche and Derby, and they are going to be bid out next week. So hopefully we'll get a lot of good bids, and in January we hope to start on the Comanche and Derby projects. And that's weather permitting, of course, because we're entering into the rainy season, but we're on top of it, and we're super excited that we're going to get these 3 major streets completed in Arvin. So thank you all to the committee for that, because we couldn't have done it without all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to pass it to Yolanda to provide some updates.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yolanda Contar with Kern County Public Works, and we have 2 AB 617 projects proposed here in Lamont. We executed the agreement earlier this year, and we currently have the Panama Road ped path, which is going to include the neighborhoods north and south of Panama Road. That is currently at 30% design right now, and so it'll be a few more months into next year, but design should be complete next summer, which means it still has to be bid out, and award a contract. So more than likely, construction will get started at the end of next year or possibly the spring of next year, depending on what kind of weather we're having. And then for Mountain View Ped Path, we're at 50% design completion. We're currently working with Caltrans because their State Route 184 project is currently underway, and they're going to be building a sump at Mountain View intersection there. So we're trying to work with them to see if we can use that as part of our project. So we're currently working with them, and hopefully it won't delay our project too much because now they've got to review ours. And that's what's happening with our AB 617, but we also have 3 other sidewalk projects happening in Lamont. So I just wanted to give you feedback on Dunsmuir Ped Path. That one is expected to be completed in May, and it's currently underway, construction that is. And then also for the Woods Addition, that one is supposed to, construction will get started in January. And Buena Vista Boulevard, construction of that one just was completed this month. So we're happy that that one is finally completed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So at this time, I'd like to open it up to other agencies that might have some updates that are relevant to the community. I'll pass it to Michelle from CARB.
Yeah, this is Michelle Byers, your CARB representative. I don't have any major updates. I just wanted to say thank you for having me, and it's always so nice to come down and talk to each of you and see you in person. So.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to have a CARB representative present in the community. Anyone else? Yes.
Not a part of them, but the California agency CalGEM, which is in charge of oil and gas regulation in California, has recently been working on plugging and abandoning wells. And these wells that they're focusing on are wells that are known to be leaking or owned by problematic operators. So they just finished plugging wells next to Fuller Acres. So now Fuller Acres now has fresher air, and they're much safer because some problematic wells are plugged. So I'm happy to hear that. And they're currently, I think, finishing up a round of wells that are being plugged around Arvin as well. So if any of you all see any work with oil wells or some flashing lights in the fields around Arvin High School, it's because they're finishing up plugging some wells there as well. So I know they're not here, but I wanted to give that update and let you guys know that if you see any activity, it's because they're permanently plugging some oil wells that are known to be either owned by problematic operators or have a history of leaks. So we're a little better off for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So for our CSC members that continue to be engaged and want to be part of the agenda setting meeting, our next agenda setting meeting is January 8th, 2026. So I'll see you next year on Zoom. And then our next CSC meeting will be on Zoom. You won't get to see each other in person. We'll be on the little boxes on TV, or it feels like we're on TV. And it will be January 28th with the regular Zoom link that we have. Before we wrap up, I'm going to pass it to Toys for Tots to make an announcement of how to connect with them and get their resources.
Hello, my name is Darlene Dowdy. I'm the Toys for Tots representative here in Bakersfield and Kern County area. We do all the way from Tehachapi to Arvin, Lamont, Frazier Park, all the way to Taft, Shafter, and Wasco. That is my area that I do. Last year, we supported 45,000 children here locally. All funds that are gathered stay here locally. We buy toys here locally. So any monies that's donated, we keep that money and we buy for age groups that we go and give children toys. We give age-appropriate toys, and I give them from ages 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 13, and 14 to 18. Some coordinators only go to the age of 12. I feel a child is still a child until they're the 18 years old. So I still support that age group. That is the hardest age group to buy for because toys are expensive. And so we always are looking for donations. So if you want to drop $1 or $2 in the box, it makes a difference. You think it doesn't, but at the end of the day, on Christmas morning, it makes all the difference to a child in need. So we try to make sure that every child gets a toy at Christmas. In 10 years, I've never had to say no to a family in need, and I don't want to start now. And so all contributions go to buy toys for children. Thank you for having us here again this year. We come every year and try to support you guys and give you a little information. There's some folders up here on the table. My name, business card is on the table. You can grab one. If you have not, applications are closed. They close December 1st of every year. If you did not get an application to buy toys for your children, you may come on December 20th, and the address is on 25th and P Street, P for Peter. It's right off of Golden State Highway between 24th and Golden State, 25th and P. We start at 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. It takes over 100 volunteers to make this happen for the children. It is all about the children. And if you have not filled out an application, you can come between the hours of 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. That is the only hours that you can come. You must bring your ID. You must bring an ID on your children, each child. I only need one piece of paper on each child. Birth certificate, social security card, medical card, passport to service, report card, something showing that you have the children in the home. That is all that we're asking for, just so that I can verify the children are in the home with you. Any questions? All right, you guys have a Merry Christmas and a safe New Year, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. As you all know very well, this is a public meeting, and part of the public process is to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to share. So at this time, we want to open it up to public comment.
Hi everyone, my name is Viviana. As some of you may know, we recently requested the Air District host a public hearing in regards to a hydrogen project that's being proposed at Kern Energy. We want that public hearing. We haven't gotten the date quite yet for the public hearing. We know it's going to be sometime in January, and we want to make sure that that public hearing is going to be a productive space for the Air District to meaningfully engage with community members about it. First of all, we were concerned to hear about the hydrogen project through the public listserv, considering that the AB 617 space is intended for the Air District to meaningfully engage with community members, and community members have expressed that Kern Energy is a large concern in the community. So this space would have been an excellent opportunity to bring up the project months before when it was first received, when the application was first received by the Air District. And we hope that moving forward, projects like this will be first introduced to the AB 617 space before it's posted on the public listserv. Further, we're also concerned about the impacts of the hydrogen project to the community and to the county at large. There's several other hydrogen projects that are being proposed throughout Kern County, and there is not a regional plan of any sort to ensure that hydrogen projects are not going to have negative effects to the communities. And hydrogen, for those who don't know, is a very dangerous element, and it is the smallest element in the whole world, and it's very prone to leakage, and it can be very explosive. In the same way that oil and gas refinery infrastructure was produced and spread all through Kern County without a plan in place, and that in the long term came to negatively affect communities, we don't know what's going to happen with hydrogen production. So the county and all of the relevant agencies should pause and make sure they're meaningfully engaging with community members from the very beginning to make sure that we're not, that community members aren't paying for it later on down the line. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie, and thanks, Viviana, for bringing that comment up. I know that our permits team has been working with you all, and I did want to share, like Viviana mentioned, there are works to bring a public meeting together. I believe I'll share this tentatively, and we'll share confirmed details. But I believe in January, likely on the 12th, is when we're looking to do this meeting, and it'll be an opportunity for folks to be educated on this project and be able to ask questions that you all have. And so those details are being worked out, and when they're all confirmed, we'll update the CSC.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other public comments at this time before we wrap up? All right, before we officially wrap up and I invite the co-leads and the Air District to give us some closing remarks, I'm going to ask Nancy, can you hear me, Nancy? One more time to use a little wheel for a raffle. And our last raffle from the Air District for today is another item to put you to work, a corded weed whacker. So let's see who our winner is. You'll have to read it because I can't read that far, Nancy. Michelle, you want to get to work, Michelle? Michelle's like, I don't know. Yes. Michelle has won. Woo! You want to re-raffle? Okay, Michelle from Carb, let it be known. She's going to re-raffle. All right, let's do it again. Oh, and it has a little sound. I like that. I can't read. María González. ¿Dónde está María González? Okay, María, trabajar, muchacha. We want pictures. All right, thank you so much. All right, Gustavo? All right, Gustavo, you have a comment before we wrap it up.
I just want to remind ourselves that the report that Cesar gave about, capping the abandoned wells, if all of you remember that CalGEM came and approached us asking for where they can invest the funding that they had to cap the wells. So sometimes we forget that we all here in this room make a difference. I think the recommendations, to cap the wells nearest to our communities, that was the decision, and that's the reason, that the state agency is doing that, just to remain that, on top of the kind of official SERPs that we have, we attract other benefits to our communities, just, to please ourselves that we did something good, other than the regular SERPs meetings.
Thank you for that comment. So I'm going to pass it to our co-leads to wrap us up with some closing remarks. So I'll start with Cesar.
Yeah, thank you so much. Pretty soon here, we're going to be moving from monthly meetings to quarterly meetings as we move into implementation. So while we meet on a monthly basis, I want to make sure that we take advantage and we do what we did now and use our voting power to decide where this money goes and how it's used. So how lucky are we that we get to make this decision? But let's remember that the reason we get to make this decision is because we live in the most unhealthy air anywhere in the United States. So keeping that as a memory, it's also a motivator to help us make sure that this money is used in the way that benefits us most. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar. Bianca, would you add anything?
I just want to give thanks to everybody that have been here through the first day. As I mentioned earlier, we've been to 55 meetings right now, but adding with all the subcommittee is way more. But as we hear from other agencies, cities, counties, there's been a lot given back to the community, and we have to be grateful and thankful that we have this space to not just only voice our concerns, but also make big progresses where other communities have not had this type of program. So this is a good space for us to be in, but also make a big difference. This is not just something, a little Band-Aid. This is something permanent that your future generations are going to be taking advantage for good air quality. So I want to thank you all that have been here through the whole process, but also making good changes in the community, because these are examples for other communities that have the same burden, but now we're making big changes. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. All right, to close us off and wrap up today's meeting, I'm going to pass it to Stephanie.
Thank you, everyone. And I just wanted to thank Cesar and Bianca again. We spend so much time not in these meetings, planning to make sure that these are meaningful meetings. We get so much really great feedback from Bianca and Cesar about direction on kind of supporting really great meetings here. And so I just wanted to thank both of them again. And I appreciate Bianca's reflection, because I feel that, we are so deep in the work sometimes, like these meetings day to day, that I just want to take a moment to just recognize some really big milestones we've hit as a committee that you all have supported. Really amazing paving projects with the city of Arvin, paving projects with Kern County. I know those were two really, really big projects. Cesar mentioned some amazing partnerships that come out of 617, that we have the opportunity to work with lots of other agencies that aren't required to come to the table, and they do, and they bring a lot of support and collaboration, and also really great incentive programs through like our urban greening and vegetative barrier programs and moving those along. So I just want to again thank all of you for your thoughtfulness, the care you bring into this process, and really congratulate all of you on really some great progress that we've made through this year. Thank you again, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you again in the new year to keep doing this work.
Thanks, everyone. That wraps up our meeting tonight. Have a good evening. Safe travels.
These items on the table are free, by the way.
Oh, if you could please make sure you turn back your devices. Sorry, some logistics that I am missing. Turn back your translations devices to the table up front. There's plenty of leftover food. Please take some food to go and grab some Toys for Tots bags. Make sure you turn this back in.